peoples? What's up? Welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. Jason here. Today I have a crowdfunding preview for Paperback Adventures Volume 2. Paperback Adventures is a very unique game in our space. It is a solo-only, deck-building, roguelike word game. It's a roguelike in the sense that we will be defeating various enemies of increasing power, but we're going to do so in very unique ways. We have a deck of letters, and we are going to be spelling various words, generating combat, defeating those enemies, along the way buffing ourselves up with different items and artifacts, and new letters making ourselves stronger, and eventually taking down the bad boss at the end. Paperback Adventures is such a unique game in our space as a solo player. I have played the original 3 characters a whole heck of a lot, so I am happy to feature this 4th character, the Iron Knee, in this demo. In addition, I will talk through what is new in the Kickstarter and also refer you to the show notes below so that you can check it out for yourself. So let's get through this crowdfunding preview for Paperback Adventures Volume 2 after these channel announcements. We are the One Stop Co-op Shop, a multi-platform gaming empire, and your one stop for solo and cooperative gaming goodness. Before I jump into a feature of the new character, Iron Knee, let me go ahead and talk about, as far as I know, what is coming in the crowdfunding campaign. Obviously, I don't have samples of everything, but let me talk through what I do know, and if you want to know more, the link to the crowdfunding page will be in the show notes. The original Paperback Adventures came with a core box and 3 characters, Ex Machina, Plot Hook, and Damsel. I have playthroughs of all 3 of these characters here in the One Stop Co-op Shop. Go ahead and check the playlist here on OSCS. It's called Paperback/Flowers Games. I have all 3 of those playthroughs featured. In the crowdfunding campaign, you'll be able to acquire everything that was in the original pack, plus the extra character, plus there will be a recharge pack for all 3 of the original characters, so new cards, new core cards, new starter cards, new mechanisms to refresh your experiences. The biggest feature, which I cannot show you here because it's not ready as a recording, but again, it will be on the crowdfunding page, there will be another box that will have cooperative play. Don't know much about that, but that sounds very exciting. Go ahead and check that out. There will also be a big box to contain all of the characters that are available so far. And finally, there will be additional content. If you know the original cycle, you'll go through your 3 lackeys and 3 bosses, and then they give you a hint like this: you win, congratulations, ignore the rewards below unless told otherwise. What that means is that there will be capacity to play a 4th lackey and a 4th boss, and maybe even beyond that, I'm not really sure, but you can continue your adventures with your built-up characters if you get the new content. So there is tons available here in this crowdfunding campaign, but for now, let's get into this new character, Iron Knee. So let's check out the new character, the Iron Knee. As with all the other characters, they're going to have a lot of keywords here, and those keywords are going to correspond to what is in their starter deck as well as their advanced cards. So we'll get into those keywords as I get into the playthrough. The biggest innovation here, and I think this kind of sets her apart from some of the other characters in terms of, pre-planning and complexity and all that, are these stances. A lot of her uniqueness emerges from her starting layout. Where the other characters had core items that went with their character, the Iron Knee does not have items. Instead, they have a starting artifact. You can actually get away with a game where you don't acquire any items, just kind of do other stuff. A little bit unique right there. Also, if you can see, this card is a childhood trophy. Again, prototype. This will not be the final form of this card. Whenever you spend a boon in combat, give a hex to the enemy loses 1 HP. This character generates more boons than the average character so that you can use it in combat. And it's also their currency for upgrading cards, so that's something you have to balance from boss to boss. The main show here is that there is a stance system. Think the Watcher from Slay the Spire, only you don't get double damage, a little bit more subtle in the way it works. As Iron Knee enters different stances, they'll be able to do different things. So this is the starting layout. We have our center stance, which doesn't really do anything right now, although there are some cards that interact with the center stance. So even then, you'll be able to do stuff. The turtle and the snake stance are her starter stances as indicated by this icon over here. Generally, you are going to be able to have an offensive paradigm or a defensive paradigm, at least to start. So the snake stance will allow you to penetrate block. The turtle stance will generate extra block for you. As you play cards and you splay them left or right, so if I had a word that is splayed left, which means that it features the left sides of the cards, then I would move this one over. She would enter turtle stance, and then whatever turtle stance said, that would be or interact with the cards. In addition, if I spelled the word the other way to the right and it started in the center, then it would move over here and give you more of that offensive buff to your word. So every single round, you are going to be moving this around and trying to leverage whatever these cards do and have it interact to your favor with what the boss is doing. After you defeat each individual enemy, you will have the chance to explore her deck further. So there are a ton of other stances. You pick some at the end of every game. You see if you want to replace your starter stances and then evolve your character from there, along with evolving your deck. So that's the big picture of what's going on with Iron Knee. Let's go ahead and get into the playthrough and her other powers. Every character comes with a set of enemies to go through, 1 through 6. So I am choosing the enemies that came with the Iron Knee. The first one is the Bully. They have the weakness of the U, so I get the U as a wild card, and they are going to progress through these different powers. They're not so bad. I deal 2 damage and gain 1 hex, or give 1 hex. That's not too bad at all. However, the headache, aptly named, is that I draw 1 less card for each hand for every hex I have. I already draw 4. Once they give me that hex, if I don't block it, then I'd be drawing 3, drawing 2. They'll wipe it at the end, but I don't know if I want to get that far. We'll see. So for my first hand of cards, I got a lot of offense. So look at that. Gain 4 hits, gain 3 hits, gain 2 hits. I'll explain these keywords in a minute. Let's go ahead and get to the first keyword, which is the combo. So as you can see, there are these circles on top of the cards. Some of the other cards will have other symbols. The 3 symbols available are punch, kick, and knee. Whenever I play a combo card, I am looking for that combination. So it could be circle, 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 triangle, etc. In this particular case, circle, circle. Pretty easy because I drew all my circles. But there will be times where you're trying to get 2 cards that are circles together. They don't quite fit. You got the vowel in there, etc. Here, no problem. So I am going to make a word. Let's see if I can make that. I'll use my common vowel that's available to me. It doesn't really hurt me to do that. We're going to go turfs. And we are going to lay down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus the combo, which is to gain 4 hits, 9 total damage. But before we do any resolution, the first thing that happens is that we change stance. I splayed to the right, and so I'm going to go into snake stance. Snake stance says, during the clash phase, for each hex I have, ignore 1 block for the enemy. So I don't have any hexes right now, so I don't. That doesn't obtain. However, they are coming. And while I am here, let me go ahead and move this energy to 1 for the F that I played, and the other for the wild card. If I do not use it, then I get an energy. And that was quite a shot, down from 9 to 1. So this tray is the older tray where the metal pieces didn't quite fit, so you might see them pop out every once in a while. If you go into the new crowdfunding campaign, they have adjusted the size and it fits in a lot better. So now they're going to deal 2 damage to me and give me 1 hex, and then they're going to move on to their next slot over here. But while I'm here, I'll show you what the next effect is: to flip over 1 face-up item if possible. This is where Iron Knee outsmarts the enemy. She has no items. Fantastic. She didn't outsmart him this time, though. They're going to take 2 damage and get the 1 hex. According to the boss, they're going to draw 1 less card for every hex on them. That's kind of a global thing there. I do not like losing HP so early. However, she does have a couple of ways to get HP back, especially as she goes into her hand, so I'm not too worried about it. All right, so I have discarded the cards. I fatigued the card that I used on top last time, so my deck is thinner by 1 until the enemy is defeated. And I pulled 3 cards because the boss told me to, because I have a hex on it. Boom. So here is where the strategy of the game presents itself from the very beginning. It gave them a good wallop, so it would not take me much to do the rest of the damage, stun them, and get them to the other side. However, I have that hex on me, and I know on the other side of this, there's no way to remove hexes. That's only here. So if I can kind of wait the boss out a little bit to trigger this power, block 4, remove all the hexes from you. Then I can get my cards back. So that's kind of the back and forth. So do I play an offensive game and just kind of like roll with my 3-card hands, or do I want to delay a little bit? So a lot of that is going to interact with your powers, its stances, etc. So let's go ahead and just do that right now. Okay, so I'm going to spell load. With the wild card. So that is block. The block is useless. I do get 2 energy, which I do like and appreciate. I'll use that later. And here's the big one. Because I splayed left, I moved the piece left, and now I'm in the center stance, which normally does nothing. But if I am in a center stance, gain a boon. Boons are extremely powerful on Iron Knee, not just as currency like with everybody else, but plenty of effects, including the childhood trophy, interact with this boon. The boss does nothing. They are going to go on to their next phase, which is to do the same thing as in the first one. Another shove, deal 2 damage and give 1 hex. Don't know if I want to live the life of having 2 hexes on me. Let's see what I can do about that. Any veteran of Scrabble is going to be familiar with a move like this. 2-letter word, but those totally count. Okay, so I get 1 energy, bringing me up to 5. Hopefully I can get that going. By the way, she has no items, which means that she doesn't spend energy off of items. However, she does have some cards called Juice. I may spend 1 or 2 energy to gain a listed effect on her cards. So she spends energy on her cards, at least to start, not necessarily items, so that's useful. All right, so the vowel power is advance the enemy action indicators by 1, which will change the enemy's action this turn. So it's kind of like I skipped getting hit, so that's like playing block right there. And they do this power. Block 4, doesn't matter. Remove all hexes from me. Get out of here. I want to draw my 4 cards and get to the next thing. So they are going to move up to the top, and they're hoping to shove me, but they're at 1 hit point. Yeah, I got something for them. And oh yeah, I happen to be in snake stance. So in case you are wondering, it does not rotate all the way over. If I were to play right again, I could just kind of like spam being in snake stance as long as I'm playing right. I love it when cards come together to tell a story. I got a bully trying to shove me. Let me go ahead and shove him back right in his nose. All right, so we are going to generate 3 combat, which will flip them so they don't do that, which is really nice. And the overflow damage, they are at 10, so I'm going to get them down to 8. In addition, I have this power. If I splayed right, which I did, gain 2 boons. 2 boons is amazing. So now I am at 3 boons, and the way to spend boons, one of the ways comes off of the echo power. So some of the cards will say echo on them. So that'll be, I could spend a boon to return that card to the top of my deck instead of fatigue. So other characters will run out of cards fairly quickly. The Iron Knee, as long as I have boons, can last a little bit longer. Did I tell you they were a lackey? They do nothing. So they're designed to be a little bit easy, although I have gotten into trouble when I first played this character. But after a couple times, I got used to it, and I know what to do now. All right, so I drew my 4 cards, A, F, R, H. That's the end of my deck. So let's go ahead and spell Afar, because I feel like I want to have this card up top. Heal 1 and gain a boon. I mentioned before I didn't mind getting hurt a little bit. Well, that's why. And also, I've chipped away and dealt them 3 damage. I'm probably going to have to deal with this, but only the one time, and I'll be able to take them down. In addition, let's go ahead and heal 1 and get myself 3 energy up to 8. So in the beginning deck, at least the way the deck is constructed right now, there's not a lot of ways to use energy, a lot of ways to gain it, a lot of ways to use it. There's only the 1 juice card, but that will be coming, and maybe it'll be adjusted along the way in the campaign. Again, this is prototype that I'm showing you. All right, next up, the boss is going to block 3, which is highly inconvenient because I had enough in my hand to take them down, but they're going to have to wait a turn. So I pulled the S-H-O-R, so we are going to spell shore. And we're going to do it in a way that blocks. So I could spell it the other way and get a lot of combat going, but like I said, they block. So let's just go ahead and spend 1 more turn. So this wild card means that the next card down is going to be used and all that. So it's going to gain 2 hits, which gets blocked. Echo. Echo is their power, which lets me, first of all, move that to the right or move it to the left because I splayed left. Second of all, spend a boon in order to keep this card. So this card's going to go to the top of my deck. So that means I get to see it next turn. That's great. In addition, Childhood Trophy gets triggered. Whenever I spend a boon in combat, which I just did, give a hex to the enemy, and the enemy loses 1 HP. Loses 1 HP? That's not blockable. How clever of the irony. How ironic. And now they are going to do nothing, and hopefully I can take them out this round. Indeedy do. I saved that R, which was 2 swords, which is great. That is 5 swords total. Using the F on top gets me 3 hits. Boom. They are out for the count. Oh, bully. Goodbye, bully. We stand up to you. So I don't have new flavor text yet. They sent me cards from the other set. So let's go ahead and skip that. No, there's no alien goo on the bully. But I can get some rewards. I draw 2 cards from the library and choose one to replace a card in my deck. Draw a random MacGuffin. Upgrade a card in my deck. So 2 cards off the top of the deck. We have N and P. P, if I fully block the enemy attack, I gain 5 hits. Nice counter attack right there. And also N, gain a boon. Has some energy. A pretty aggressive card. Sure, I like boons. So the F is a pretty uncommon word, a little ungangly. It is a pretty offensive card, but I'm replacing it with offense and a little bit easier to use card. So let's go ahead and replace the F with the N. All right, so from the MacGuffin pile, which in the regular game, you're going to have MacGuffins from the base box as well as your character card and whatever else you decide to shuffle in. So I can use the Googly Eye at the start of the battle, take any unused enemy Val card and add it to my available enemy Val cards for the battle. A little bit more flexibility there. And Calligraphy School, where a reward card has you draw cards from your library, draw double that amount instead. For this demo, let's go ahead and go Googly Eye, take any unused enemy Val card and add it to my available cards for the battle, which means I can make a little bit of a longer word, got more flexibility, likes me the Googly Eye. It also let me upgrade a card. I just got this card, so let's upgrade it. Why not? So we have same thing, gain a boon, but I get a little bit more offense on the left side over here. So hopefully I'll have enough to block and then dink the boss a little bit for my left side splays. See how it works out. Some other setup stuff for the boss that is coming up. I have 3 boons, so I'm going to go down to 1, spending 2 of them. So I do start the next combat with 1 boon. Let's go ahead and check out a new mechanism for Paperback Adventures Volume 2. Ankle weights. Prep first. First, remove this card from play. Return it when the enemy flips. So it's basically like an investment. You spend it once and then nothing happens. But then when the enemy flip, it comes back. If the card has already been removed from the game this battle, instead gain 3 hits and 3 blocks. So I plan on getting a lot of energy. I had finished that last round with a lot of energy. I had nothing to use for it. So let's go ahead and get some ankle weights. So prep first, doesn't do anything, and then a massive shot of buffs after that. And finally, I can refresh my stances. So the game is going to come with a number of stances. I got some sample ones right here as prototypes. I can pick 2 and replace 1 or both. We got Tiger Stance. Whenever you switch to this stance, gain 2 hits. If the enemy has 4 or more hex, gain 5 hits instead. So this is good because I don't have a lot of ways to generate hexes right now, and I'm not upgrading that way. If I did, I would, I'd be taking advantage, but this is good whether I have hexes or not. So let's go ahead and say goodbye to Snake Stance. And I have Firebird Stance. At the end of the turn, remove a boon from the enemy or a hex from yourself. I know that enemy gives out boons, so that will be a good one. So let's get rid of Turtle Stance and come up with a whole new set of stances for next round. Hopefully they come in useful. And now it is time for the next boss. All right, so here we go with the Blade Dancer, level 1 boss. Starts with 1 boon. For every letter in your word, that's the first effect, gain 1 block and 1 boon. So if I make a nice big word, then they're going to get lots of boons. Why is that bad? Because of this one, Lunge. When it gets to here, I deal 1 damage for every boon on me. The HP is low, but they have a lot of block and a massive power, and also influences the way I spell. So I can't be making big words if I'm going to be in this flourish area. See what I can do about that. So here is where the game really gets in your way. Some of the fun of the game is just, playing your words to the maximum effect. However, the boss has that cap. The more letters I use, the worse they get in terms of the boons. So I have so many words that I can spell with these common letters, but that's not going to happen. So let's go ahead instead and spell no. No gives me 1 energy plus 1 energy for not using the wild card. Ankle weights, here I come. This should happen first, but in this case, it doesn't particularly matter. I get to move to Tiger Stance. Whenever you switch to this stance, gain 2 hits. The enemy has 4 more hex, gain 5 hits. So they generated 2 block from the 2 hits. They also got 2 boons. Don't like that. However, I generated 2 hits off of that and then 2 hits off a Tiger Stance, which overcomes their block and knocks them down to 6. I'm going to want to flip them pretty early because they can't generate boon on the other side. The other side uses the boon. So let's see what I can do about denying them their needed boon. All right, second turn, still annoying. I got plenty of letters that I can make all sorts of words from. Oh, boy. Anyway, okay, so I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do add. So that gets me 2 energy plus another energy for not using my wild, which brings me to 5 energy. Hello, ankle bracelets. Weighted ankles. Also, I get the D power if I'm in the center stance, gain a boon. Center stance, because I splayed left, is there. So I get a boon, which brings me up to 3. Fantastic. They are going to put themselves at 5 boon, which does not make me very happy. But they will not be blocking me this turn, so hopefully I can generate enough damage to get at them right here. All right, third round. I better either deal a lot of damage or block 5 incoming damage. So this is promising for the block. And blocking is not bad because of this Firebird stance. Firebird would be at the end of the turn, remove a boon from the enemy. So knocking them down would be nice. However, they're still on the boon generating side. So I think that's just kind of like delaying things a little bit. I need to take them out. My other 2 cards that I reshuffled and drew make me happier. So I have enough to beat them. But first, let's go ahead and spend 4 to remove the ankle weights from the game. They're coming right back. I believe you have to use this before the boss flips because there's no other way on the card that the card can come back. So if you use it after the boss flips that first time, then it's useless. Let's not live that life. Okay, so that's prepped. So let's go ahead and spell with our snazzy double vowel combo, trine. Trine is some kind of astrological word, but also a very cool video game. I think 5 of them at this point so far. That's cool. T, I set up the TR. It's combo circle circle, gain 4 hits. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total hits. In addition, I splayed right for Tiger Stance. When I switch to this stance, gain 2 hits. Boom! So that, my friends, is 9 hits. And they are stunned, so they don't do anything this round. So they would be at 12. The overflow puts them at 9. So now they are going to be at 5 boon for the rest of the combat. So the Dance of Death, I deal 3 damage and I block 3. Double both numbers. My word is 5 letters or less. So now they're encouraging me to spend use bigger words. No problem. In addition, Lunge, I deal 1 damage for every boon on me. So I was able to manage the boon fairly well. 5 block is not that bad to generate every turn. So let's see if I can burn them down relatively easily. All right, so as a reminder, deal 3, block 3, double both numbers if my word has 5 letters or less. So let's go ahead and make a 5-letter word. So I have these, O-A-E-S I was dealt. I'm going to make that an S, so we're going to spell oases. So I get myself 2 energy, brings me up to 3. Unfortunately, I get to 4. That's an unfortunate shame. Why? Because I got this back. And when I spend 4 energy, then I'll be able to get all sorts of extra goodies. Hopefully, I can get that going next turn. Okay, so I got 3 block, which blocks the boss. And for the S, I give the boss 2 hexes. And it has the keyword echo. So that means that I get to spend some of the plentiful boons that I'm getting in order to save that for the next hand. I like saving S's because they make letters longer. In addition, Childhood Trophy. When I spend a boon in combat, give a hex to the enemy, and the enemy loses 1 HP. Loses an HP, not blocked. Doing this a little bit out of order, but because you're definitely supposed to change the stance first. But I'm just still for camera purposes. But just know that these counter has to move first, and then you do everything else. So I splayed left, so it's going to go to the left. I'm at center stance. I blocked everything that the boss got going on, and now they're going to deal 1 damage for every boon, which is 5 incoming damage. That's not so bad. So I have some time. I got some cards in my deck. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of a longer game. So we're going to splay left again, which is a defensive posture, which moves me over here. Freebird stance. At the end of a turn, remove a boon from the enemy or a hex from yourself. So I have to remember, they're going to deal that 5 damage, but when that is all resolved, then they're going to go down to 4. Do I block the 5 damage? I certainly do. So with this wild, which is unfortunate I have to use the wild, but that's okay. Leash. We're going to get 2 energy from that A. I love that. And we are going to use this H. Circle square. Do I have circle square? Bam. It doesn't even have to be attached to the letter. It could be anywhere in the word and in any order as long as they're together. Gain 5 block. I got plenty of block. Too bad I can't turn block into attack. I know some characters can do that. That's super fun. So now they're just going to go back and forth until they go down. I want to get them down. I want to survive this and get them down on the second turn. So here is where my investment pays off. I have enough for ankle weights. We are going to go down from 5 to 1. Now it's going to do its main thing. If this card has already been removed from the game, I already took care of that. Instead, gain 3 hits and 3 blocks. What does 3 hits and 3 blocks do? They deal 3 damage and block 3. So I block 3 damage and I eat up that block. So I now can freely attack this boss with my cards off my hand, which is fantastic. I love that little setup thing. And thinking through that was pretty satisfying. Okay, so now I got the N-O-R-E as letters. Let's go ahead and put a wild on there. Snore. We splayed to the right, so we're going to move to the center stance, which doesn't get me anything for now. But I did splay right with my N, so I get 2 boons. Wow. So that is both currency for this combat and for the shop. So love being able to use that. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. So that brings them down from 8 to 4. I am doing pretty well over here. Took care of all that. I got the 5-letter word. So now they are going to deal me 4 damage now, which is a little bit easier to deal with. Maybe I can even take them out this coming turn. Yes, I can, in a whole bunch of different ways. I could spell Aries. Do you not like that it is a proper name? I could spell a rose. All sorts of options I have over here. Either way, I can heal 1, which is takes me to 20, which will be beneficial for me for the rest of the run, and gain a boon, beneficial for me for the rest of the run. And that is 4 damage. Plus, shifting to Tiger Stance did not make it to 4 hex. If I had 4 hex, that would be 5 hits instead, and that would be kind of knocking them down on their own. But instead, that's 2 hits off of there, some hits off of the card, and a Blade Dancer has been defeated. And I am at 5 boons and 20 health total. What a way to begin this delve into the dungeon. But at this point, I'm going to call it. I am getting the published copy of the Iron Knee, so you know I'll have a playthrough for it, a full playthrough with all the characters. Maybe I'll change it the first 2 to enemies so you can see different ones. But for the most part, I'm going to dive right back in and finish it off when the Iron Knee is finished. There's also all sorts of other content coming, as I described earlier. Once again, I wasn't able to feature it here because a lot of it is still cooking in the development stage. But go ahead and check that crowdfunding link in the show notes below to see everything that you're going to get with Paperback Adventures Volume 2. This is Jason with the One Stop Co-op Shop, reminding you we'll see you at the next stop.